Hi everybody, this is Howard, the Teaserking, coming to you with some more college. I'm going to do two videos now. I'm going to do one on who we're looking to bet on in every conference. I could talk about one conference at a time, but there's so many in college. I can give you 20, 30 teams that I like that will play. And then in the next video, I'll give you 20, 30 teams that we're going to bet against. And you can kind of get my philosophy. I play each conference very similar. I look at the strong teams and the weak teams. And once conference play starts, there's two sections to college football. There's the first month where Mississippi State might play Southern Miss. So they're playing these weaker teams out of conference. Big Ten will play a lot of MAC teams. The Pac-10 might play a lot of Mountain West teams. And then you have your conference, and the conference schedule is a whole lot different. Now you have, Oregon playing UCLA, Michigan playing, Wisconsin, not Michigan playing Toledo or, Kent State. But that's really where I see the value is. I've locked, I don't know, 8 or 9 really strong locks the last, let's say, 3 years, taking either an SEC team against one of these Conference USA teams or a Big Ten team against a MAC team or something like that. And there's tremendous value in it, as now you have a playoff. The teams can't afford to lose. So basically, like Mississippi State against Southern Miss was my lock week 1 last year. And basically, there's no way Mississippi State could afford to lose, because you now have the conference is so hard. In the playoff, you can only lose maybe 2 games. You can lose 1 game, like Alabama did, like Michigan State did, but you can't lose 2 games. So the precedent to win these easier games gets more focus and more stronger, at least in the beginning. Maybe when they take that break at the end, they might not blow them out, but they're looking to blow them out in the beginning. They're all excited. So let's just, I'll go down the list, and I'm just gonna abbreviate, like the AAC. I think it's the American Athletic Conference. Most of them I know, but who I like there, I'll talk in both. I like Tulsa mostly as an over. It's strong offense, weak defense. I think Southern Florida I really like, especially as a dog. They looked very, very good near the end of last year. They started off very weak, and then they just piled it on, and they're a very good, especially dog. I look at betting them a lot. That's a perfect team to bet, because they'll get points. Again, the betting's a popularity contest. Like Oklahoma being 10 points over Houston doesn't make any sense. I think that game's pretty even. But USF plays Oklahoma, they're going to get 30 points, because it's all based on the popularity. More people will bet Oklahoma than at USF, or whoever plays USF. Nobody's going to start betting on them. So, but Teaserking will, and you'll make a lot of money doing that. And I always look for those type of teams each year. Pretty much a good quarterback, good defensive team, good coach, senior led, and basically I look for that to, that's my sleeper. And it used to be Cal many years ago, and they got good. It used to be Michigan State, and now everybody knows Michigan State. But 5 years ago, I was betting Michigan State very hard, and nobody knew them. So that's what I like to do, is find that sleeper team. Okay, Cincinnati, I think, is another kind of explosive team, not great defense. So you're going to bet them over. Houston, I think, is the best team in that conference all around. They'll be favored in every conference game, and they're very strong. Like I said, they can easily beat Oklahoma. SMU, very strong offensive team, no defense. So when Tulsa plays SMU, you bet the game over. But you be careful when they play Temple. Now, Temple's a very good team, very strong defensive team. They're a little weak on the offense, but they're a very good team. So that's what I like in that conference. Navy, you don't know because they run the ball, but they'll be good. But they got a new quarterback. And Memphis, you got to see how they do with their coach out. New coach. The guy's now on Denver, the quarterback, so they've lost a good quarterback. I hate when I do this. I know the guy. I was just looking at him, and I can't. Just a second, I got it because I got my NFL thing here. Who's the Denver? He's on Denver. It's Paxton Lynch. Very good. So they lost him, so it's going to take him a few weeks. That's the other thing I look at when you get a new quarterback in. It's got to take him. He could practice and be great, but it's going to take him, I'd say, at least 3 games, 4 games to really get comfortable, see all the blitzes. So you got to be careful with the new quarterbacks when they first step on. Give them 3-4 games and then see. And there's always that one tester game when they play that really good defensive team. So let's say Memphis plays Temple week 2 or week 3. And then if the quarterback's still good, then you got a good quarterback. But if Temple kills him, then he's good against weak teams but not against strong teams. The ACC, I'll speed it up a little. Of course, Clemson, explosive offense. Defense, we'll see with all the changes. Florida State, again, no quarterback, and again, a strong defense, so they're probably an under team. They're going to run the ball with their All-American running back and defense, but it won't be offense. North Carolina State, they lost their quarterback. It'll be a new quarterback, probably an over team. Syracuse, they got the Baylor coach. Look for them to be explosive this year. It might take them 3 or 4 games to really get used to this Baylor offense, but he was the guy last year at Bowling Green, and Bowling Green we bet over almost every week. And they went and they scored 40, 50 points a game. They won the MAC, so look for Syracuse. This is another sleeper. They're going to score a lot. They're going to be an over team. I don't know if they'll be a live dog yet. We got to see what their defense looks like, but they should score a lot of points. So when they play a North Carolina, a Miami, a Clemson, they should score a lot. Miami will be a good over. North Carolina will be a good over. Virginia Tech got the Memphis coach. Look for them to start scoring a lot of points like Memphis did. Again, it probably will take 4 or 5 games to do so. Louisville has Petrino, but they haven't started scoring. They're supposed to have a really good defense this year. So look for them. Again, Florida State's an under, Boston College an under, Wake Forest an under, Virginia an under, and they got the BYU coach. Duke has been a great sleeper. I bet on them, and they're outstanding against the number in a teaser. So keep your eye open for them. They'll have their quarterback, I think, got hurt, Shirk, so they might be. You got to watch them. And Wake Forest is probably the weakest team there. And then Pitt has that Narduzzi, the defensive coach from Michigan State. But they do have Connor, their running back. He was All-American. He got hurt last year and didn't play, so look for him back this year. They could be a very good team to bet on. Big Ten, you got Ohio State. Should be a huge over this year. Their defense probably won't be as strong, but I like their offense will score 50 points with Barrett. Michigan will be probably the best team in the conference because their defense, they got Peppers and they got Jordan, a great cornerback. They got another great cornerback. They got a good defensive lineman who's an All-American. He'll coach up the quarterbacks. And they got good receivers and All-American tight end and Betts. The line will be fine. I look for Michigan. They're very strong. And what happens when you get a Michigan, when they play a weak team, they're an over. They're going to score a lot of points. When they play a really tough team, let's say Wisconsin, it's probably more apt to be an under game. So you got to read a lot of these games on who they're playing. A UCLA, USC, Washington, all these teams are probably under, if they play an explosive game, the game goes over. So when UCLA plays Arizona State, probably an over. When UCLA plays Stanford, it might be, could be an under. So against the tougher defenses, they'll play more of a defensive style. Michigan State, again, the quarterback looked good in spring practice. It's hard to say because you brought in the backup against Ohio State in a rainy game where Ohio State didn't throw. Nobody could throw the ball. So therefore, because you had that, Michigan State will have the great defense. Again, the secondary bothers me. And they'll have a great running back, this LJ, I don't remember his last name. You'll see him do a lot of the work, Le'Veon Bell-like, and Langford-like. So I think it's LJ Cook or something. Or no, it's not Cannon. It's Connor Cook. Anyway, he'll be a very good running back. So look for State to run it and play good defense. The quarterback is not that bad. They'll be competitive. They'll be a top 10 team like usual. It's just you got to look at the quarterback, see how he plays the first month. Indiana they've lost their quarterback and their running back, but I think they got a good offensive mind, their coach, and I think I'm sure the next quarterback jumps in and they'll score 40 points a game again. I don't think you'll see a drop. They'll be a great over team. Iowa, I have no idea. They didn't play anybody last year. They played 2 games against decent teams. Michigan State, they lost by 3. But the quarterback didn't play for State, Cook. He was injured. And then they played Stanford, and Stanford, I think, scored another touchdown against them now. So Iowa, I don't know. They're a solid team, but not that great. Nebraska's a great over. Illinois should be a great over. They got a good quarterback in Lunt. Purdue is the weakest team in the conference. Bet against them. Wisconsin, again, will have a lousy quarterback, good running, and good defense. They open against LSU. That'll be an interesting game. They're going to play it in Lambeau Field where the Packers play. I don't know why LSU's playing Wisconsin there because how many people are they going to recruit out of Wisconsin to go to LSU? I don't understand that, but they're going to have a hard time stopping LSU's running back that opening day. I think LSU wins the game, but it'll be probably a fairly low scoring, 2 running teams with very good defenses, and neither team has a quarterback. That should be an under if you can get it. If it can get a 44-45 and go under 50 in a teaser, I think that would be the best way to play that game. Maryland will stink. Rutgers will stink. Penn State needs a quarterback. The Big 12, almost every team's over. Oklahoma over, Baylor over, Oak State over, TCU. Now they're going to have a really good defense. They're probably going to. I think they're the best team in the conference. I think their quarterback will come on, but I think they can run, they can throw, and they can play defense. West Virginia over, Texas Texan over. Texas has this really good freshman quarterback, but I don't like their coach. I don't like their team. I have no idea. They're, to me, an under, but let's see what this new quarterback does. He's like one of these running quarterbacks. So if he starts out running all over the place, then, they might be able to score a lot there, but I don't see them doing anything against Oklahoma, Baylor, Oak State, TCU. I just don't see it. Kansas State lost their quarterback. They're a good defensive team. Iowa State, same thing, and Kansas is the worst team there. Conference USA, I look for Western Kentucky to continue being a dominant over team, scoring a lot of points. Brandon Dougherty, if Miami has any brains, they'll start the guy. He had good stats yesterday. I look for Western Kentucky to still score a lot, especially in conference. So if we look at the conference, who do I want to bet the over with Western Kentucky? Well, let's go Middle Tennessee. Strong offense. They're going to be an over team. You want to play them against that. That would be a great over. Florida International has a very weak defense. I don't think they have an explosive offense. They got a weak defense. Old Dominion, no defense at all. You can definitely bet against them. Southern Miss has a new coach, but they're a very explosive team. The quarterback's back. He's a really good one. So I think Southern Miss will be a good team and a very good over. Louisiana Tech, they lost their quarterback. They're more of an over. And Rice is a very weak defensive team. You got to love Western Kentucky to put up a lot of points against Rice. And Rice has a good offense, so that game should be very explosive. Marshall is going to have a weaker than normal defense. They're the under teams. Marshall, weak defense. Florida Atlantic has a weak defense. Under. Charlotte, terrible team, worst team in the whole NCAA. Or no, that's Massachusetts. Charlotte's still a very bad team, and they're probably more of an under. UTEP has a new defense, so I think they're going from a 3-4 to a 4-3 or new defensive coach. And they have a very strong running back. They're a good under team because they're going to run the ball. And a new defense. Texas San Antonio, weak defense. An under team. They have no offense, a weak defense. And then North Texas, very weak defense and no offense. So those last few teams, whenever I say weak defense, you want to bet Western Kentucky against them because they're not going to be able to stop them. Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee, Southern Miss, these are really your explosive offensive teams. And I think even Rice. Let's go to the SEC. So we go from the Big 12, which is primarily an over conference. Conference USA is kind of split. Now you go to the SEC, and it's primarily a defensive league. Let's go to the overs first. Tennessee, very strong offensive team. Pretty good defense. Should be an over team. Kentucky, good offense, no defense. Ole Miss with Kelly, should be good offensive team. Auburn, it's all up to the quarterback. If they get a good quarterback, they'll be explosive. And last year they had problems, so you got to watch the quarterback there. You watch the box scores. Wake up on Sunday morning and you just look at the box score. Auburn, what happened? Did he throw for 400 yards? Did he throw for 100 yards? Texas A&M, I don't know. They're a mystery to me. The coach keeps chasing all the quarterbacks away. There's something wrong there. I don't know if they're kind of an over and an under. And by that I mean, like, if A&M played Alabama, I'd bet it under. But if A&M played Auburn, I'd probably bet it over. Now, most of these teams are under teams. Alabama, LSU, Florida, South Carolina, Missouri, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas. But the reasons are different. Alabama has a great defense. LSU's got a great defense. Florida's got a great defense. So does Missouri and South Carolina. But you get to Vanderbilt, they have no offense. South Carolina's got no offense. Missouri's got no offense. So they're an under because they won't score a lot and they got a good defense. Where Alabama and LSU will score, but they have such a great defense that they'll kill you. Now, LSU, they got a new quarterback again. He's one of these running, passing type of quarterbacks. Doesn't work against Alabama, doesn't work against Florida. So he's got to be able to complete it. So we'll see what the quarterback, watch the game against Wisconsin. A lot of times I'm watching early to learn how good's the quarterback, how good. That's why my record, it's not that it's bad in the beginning, but as the season goes on and I get more aware of the good quarterbacks and the bad, I'm able to change and focus in on, okay, yeah, wow, this LSU quarterback's really good. This Auburn quarterback's really good. And I'm going to start betting them. And I'm going to start betting Auburn over because this quarterback's great. LSU, if they get their quarterback, I'm going to bet on LSU every week because they got the greatest running back in the country by a mile. And if not, I mean, they'll just give him the ball. He'll keep the game under. And they got a great defense. They always have great secondary and great linemen. So I look for that. Again, Alabama, I don't think they're the number one team. I think it's all bullshit. They run the Steeler defense, and they're weak against the running quarterback, like a Kelly, so Mississippi will give them a game, like Clemson, like anybody that's kind of a mobile type of quarterback, Manziel, gives Alabama fits. If you just run the ball at them, then, of course, you're going to have trouble. A new quarterback, their quarterbacks always stink. The running backs, they're always okay. It's because of the line, but they don't do anything in the pros. So I don't know how good the running backs really are. But it's Alabama. They'll be balanced, and they're going to play tough defense. So they're a top 10 team. They'll probably lose to Ole Miss again. But then the only team they play with a good quarterback besides Ole Miss is Tennessee. So Tennessee could beat them this year because Tennessee's getting a lot of talent. And that quarterback is a bad matchup for Alabama. So those two teams could beat Alabama. LSU, if their quarterback goes on, could beat Alabama. Because, if you got balance, Fontenot, you're not going to stop them. So if Fontenot would get drafted by New England, it would be all over. They'd win every game by 30 points because you stop Brady or he hands off to Fontenot and you're all off balance. So you put that guy with a good quarterback, forget about it. So it's definitely going to be if the quarterback's there, LSU wins it all. Again, Missouri, South Carolina, Vanderbilt stink. Good defense, no offense. Georgia, I don't know. Let's see how the new coach is. They'll probably be more of a running. They got a great running back and then the defense. Arkansas lost a lot. They lost their quarterback and their running back. Mississippi State lost their quarterback. So you got to watch it. Without Prescott, I'd look at Mississippi State to be more of a defensive, an under team. And Arkansas will still they'll be Wisconsin where they'll run the ball and play defense. So they should be an under also. Okay, moving to the Sun Belt. The top two teams are Arkansas State, a very explosive team. They have a new quarterback. And Appalachian State, who's more of an under team, run the ball more and they play defense. See, this is what's critical. You got to know in the Sun Belt are the teams good defensive teams, explosive teams. This is how you make money. Is it an over team? Is it an under team? Arkansas State will score a lot. When they move up in class, they won't. But let's say they played Louisiana Lafayette. No, Louisiana Monroe's the worst team in the conference. So when Arkansas State plays Louisiana Monroe, they'll kill them. They won't stop them. Texas, let's go down the list. Arkansas State, depending on the new quarterback, their system, they'll be an over team. Georgia Southern runs the ball. They lost their coach. He moved on to Tulane, I believe. So the assistant will keep running the ball, and they're very much a running and defensive team. Idaho has a very strong running back. Probably weak defense. South Alabama has a strong quarterback. Yeah, very strong quarterback, weak defense. They'll be an over team. New Mexico State has a great running back. Quarterback's decent, no defense. High school teams could beat them. Again, that'll be an over team. Texas State, new coach, terrible team. Louisiana Lafayette, terrible team. Troy used to dominate this league, but not anymore. And Georgia State has a new quarterback. Now, they're pretty much of a good passing team, so they're probably more. I have them as an under because of their defense, but they can score a lot of points. But all these teams have kind of a weak defense. Nobody has this really like LSU, Florida type of defense. So you're looking at average teams. So when they play an explosive team, it'll be an over. And when they play the best team who's an under is Appalachian State there. So when they play, they're not gonna score a lot. So depending on who they play, so if like Appalachian State played Troy, it's probably an under. But when Arkansas State plays Idaho, that's an over game. So you just got to try to play the overs with the overs. Like Arkansas State plays App State, you probably don't want to go over in the game because you got two good teams. One's an strong offense, and App State's a good defensive team. So that's kind of how you look at it. All right, let's go to the MAC, another big betting conference. I made a ton of money last year betting on Bowling Green and betting against the weaker teams. Top team in the conference this year is Western Michigan. They have it all. Good quarterback, good running back, good receivers. They're an over team. Northern Illinois, always very good in the conference, a very good over team. Central Michigan, very good quarterback, another over team. Toledo, I don't know. They got a new coach. It's a mix. They do have a good running back in Hunt. So Toledo's probably a little bit more over, but they had a very good defense last year against certain type of teams. Ball State, very weak defense, should be an over team. Eastern Michigan, terrible team, worst team in the conference, weak all over. So when they play anybody good, Western Michigan will kill them. Central Michigan will kill them. Northern Illinois. On the underside, Ohio. Ohio could score a lot, but they were a pretty good under team last year. Akron's an under team. Buffalo, strong defense, no quarterback. They're going to play a bunch of 10-10 games because they can't score, but they have a good defense. So you got to be careful. When Western plays Buffalo, you can't get too excited. But when Western plays Eastern, you bet on them. When Western plays Ball State, you bet on them. So you watch. You don't want to get this high offense against a tough defense. The defense always wins. Remember that. Remember the Super Bowl. Denver had the defense and won. Kent State, no offense, strong defense, another under team. Miami of Ohio, strong defense, no offense. So you had Miami of Ohio there, again an under. So Miami of Ohio plays Kent State. You're going to have a 0-0 game. You bet it under. And you got to be careful when Western plays Miami of Ohio at Kent State. These teams with strong defenses, they'll probably win, but maybe don't bet the game over. The Independents, Notre Dame, very strong offensive team, good quarterbacks. BYU, I'm not sure, but with Ty Detmer's the offensive coordinator at BYU, I look for them to score points. They'll have a good defense. They'll be a good team. Army's an under team. They just run a lot. And UMass is number 128 out of 128. They're a terrible team. Bet against them a lot when you play. If Western Kentucky was playing Mass, you bet the game over. You also can bet Western Kentucky. If Florida played Mass, you probably can't bet the game over because Florida doesn't have a good offense. But Florida would probably win 31-0. Mountain West. Best team there is San Diego State. Very strong team. Great running back Pelfrey. Look for them to be there. They're probably more of an over team. The over team, San Jose State, Nevada, Vegas with a weak defense. Boise State's extremely strong offensively. Let's see how their defense is. They'll be over. Air Force, strong defense. Could be an over or an under. Wyoming, strong running back in Hill. Probably an over team, weak defense. Colorado State, strong quarterback. Look for them to be an over team. Fresno State's terrible for some reason all of a sudden. Weak offensive team. More of an under. Hawaii, very weak, and they got a new coach. One point about Hawaii, they open against Cal in Japan. Be very wary of this. The next few weeks, they're going to be out of kilter because they're going to Japan. Now, they're probably okay because they're in Hawaii, so it's kind of, I don't think it's that far to Japan. It's probably closer to Japan than it is to play in New York, let's say. But it's still going to be a lot of air miles for them. And their second game's at Michigan. So I look at Michigan. They're favored by 40. They'll probably win by 60 because Hawaii's terrible anyway, but they'll be tired going from Japan to Michigan. So that's where you really get them is the Michigan game and the game after. They'll still be really tired, time change and everything else. Utah State's not the same Utah State I've been betting the last 3 or 4 years. They're a lot younger. And New Mexico is a strong running game. Defense is okay. I think they're more of an under, but they're a fairly good team. The Pac-12, and this is the last one. I guess I'm going to do one video on this. Stanford's the cream of the crop there. Probably an over team with McCaffrey. New quarterback. The defense probably be solid. Washington will have a balanced offense. You got to be careful. They got a weak offensive line, or at least a lot of new guys. But they have a really good quarterback, really good running back. They'll play more Boise State ball, so look for them to be more explosive. Oregon is Oregon. They'll bring up another quarterback from the Division II. They should be explosive. But I'm not really loving their coach, and they're more mortal. I think teams are getting used to this spread offense that they run. It's different than the Ohio State spread. So they're probably more of an offensive team. Washington State, best quarterback in the league there. Look for them to be an over and score a lot, and look for them to be a live dog. This is one of my teams that I'm going to be betting hard and heavy. This is like a sleeper, like South Florida, Auburn if the quarterback play is good. LSU if their quarterback. Western Michigan. All these type of teams are what I love. Cal needs a quarterback. They run a very explosive Sonny Dykes offense, so this quarterback could be better than Goff, who I didn't think was very good. At Cal, certainly not good enough to be the #1 draft choice. That was a joke. USC, new coach, but he coached the last few games. New quarterback, but he'll be okay. UCLA, Josh Rosen, they're going to have a great defense. They got to replace Perkins and their wide receivers, or they lost a lot of wide receivers for some reason. So look for them. They'll be a very strong dog, I believe. I'm going to take them week 1 against A&M. I take the dog there. They're getting points. I think Rosen really blossoms this year. They'll find running back, wide receivers. It's UCLA. Mora's a good coach, so I like them. They're another sleeper, I think. Arizona State, very explosive. Not a good defense, but they'll be explosive. And Arizona, again with Rodriguez, Anu Solomon's back, so they'll be explosive with no defense. The three other teams: Oregon State, terrible team, worst team in the conference, good under team, no offense, decent defense. Utah, great defense as always. They lost their running back and their quarterback, but we'll see. I'm sure they'll be competitive. Great coach. They're a good under team. And Colorado just stinks. I think Colorado State wins the first game against Colorado. So real quickly to recap, and I gave you a lot of information. So just review the tape or text me or email me, and I'll let you know if you have a question on this particular team. I know I went through pretty quickly, but the teams that are kind of sleepers that we're going to bet on, Tulsa we're going to bet over on. USF will be a very strong dog. Houston, I love them against Oklahoma. Be pounding them. Temple, good defensive team, probably an under. I'll be betting a lot of Syracuse overs this year. Miami should be a very good over with Kaya. Virginia Tech probably will be an over with the new Memphis offense in there. Keep your eye on Louisville. Boston College, Wake Forest, Virginia are good under teams, as is Florida State. I'll be betting a lot of Michigan, Ohio State over, Indianapolis, Indy over, Illinois over, Nebraska over, Michigan State probably more under unless their quarterback looks like Connor Cook. And Maryland and Rutgers probably betting against a lot. Oklahoma, Baylor, Oak State, West Virginia, Texas Tech, all overs most games. TCU, look out for their defense. It'll be a really strong one. If the quarterback does anything, there'll be just bet on them all the time. Bet against Kansas. Kansas State's an under. Texas, who the hell knows. Betting an over on Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee State, Southern Miss, and betting against Rice, probably Old Dominion. Probably bet them over a lot. And then betting overs on the UTEP, Texas San Antonio, North Texas, whenever they play a good scoring team. Tennessee, I'll be betting a lot. Old Miss, I'll be betting a lot. Depends on Auburn's quarterback. Alabama, I got to be careful. LSU, the quarterback comes on. Those two will be unders. Florida will be an under. South Carolina, Missouri, Vanderbilt will be unders. Arkansas, we'll see about their quarterback. And Old Mississippi State under. Sun Belt, Arkansas State over. Georgia Southern over. Idaho over. South Alabama over. New Mexico State over. And probably Louisiana Lafayette under. And Troy under. The MAC, team I really like, I'll be betting a lot of Western Michigan, Central Michigan, some Northern Illinois, betting against Eastern Michigan, Ball State, and betting unders on Buffalo, Kent State, and Miami of Ohio, and Akron whenever I can. Betting over on Notre Dame, betting against UMass. Let's see how Nevada does. Probably betting overs in the UNLV game, over in Boise State, over in Colorado State, over in Wyoming, and then under or against Hawaii, Utah State, and I'm not sure about New Mexico State. Probably betting against Fresno State also. And in the Pac-12, last but not least, I'll be betting a lot of Washington State over, Oregon over, Cal over, taking UCLA, overs in the Arizona State and Arizona games, betting against Colorado, unders in the Oregon State and Utah games. That's my list, and I highlight them so I can remember all this. So the yellows are the over, and I break it out just so you can see here, over and under, and then when I highlight them in yellow, it means they're a good team. In green, that means they're really strong. The yellows are strong offenses or defenses, and the green is a strong quarterback. So you'll see Temple, even though you see Temple highlighted, it means they got a great defense, and Connecticut has a great defense. But when you see Tulsa with the green, it means they're explosive and they have a good quarterback. Clemson with a good quarterback, Miami, Louisville, and you go down the list, Ohio State, Michigan will have one. Michigan's defense there. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for these teams as live dogs. Now you got to be careful when you bet over-unders. I mean, Baylor plays West Virginia, and the over-under is 78. It's really hard to go over. So one thing I'm looking for are when I get one of my over teams playing a weak defense, the over-under is like in the 50s. And when you see that, it's when you jump on it. And that's what you got to be careful of. You know, Alabama plays LSU, and the over-under is 35. Well, it's hard to go under. That's what I like about the teaser. I can tease that up to 41. I feel pretty good. And I won a lot of bets last year betting under in the Michigan game, and they needed the teaser. But then, this is early in the year, they kept shutting out teams. And then when their offense finally caught up, I got off of them as an under and played them. So you got to see, is it better to play the over-under or is it better to play it? So when you got Texas Tech playing Oklahoma State and the over-under 70, don't screw around with the point spread, go over. And that's all. That's really how you got to look at it. You know, Western Michigan plays Miami of Ohio. Yeah, I'm going to bet Western Michigan, but I'm not going to bet the game over. When an over plays an under, when Tennessee plays Alabama, Tennessee over team, Alabama under team, you're kind of neutralized. It's sort of like in baseball when the ace plays the ace. You don't really want to bet the game. You want to bet the game under because there's not going to be a lot of scoring. So when Tennessee plays Alabama, it gets confusing. Tennessee's not going to score a lot of points, but Alabama probably won't either. It's going to be a very defensive game. So there you probably want the dog more so than you want. You can't really go over. You can never go over with Alabama. But with Tennessee, they can score, so it's hard to make it an under game. The Alabama-Florida, you go under. LSU-Florida, under. South Carolina-Missouri, you go under. But now if Tennessee plays Ole Miss or maybe Arkansas, maybe Auburn, then you go with the overs because you got two explosive teams with not great defenses. So like I said, a great defense will shut down a great offense all the time, which makes them more of an under game. So just try to match the overs with the overs, the unders with the unders. And when you get a Western Kentucky playing a Texas San Antonio, and you know Texas San Antonio can't stop, Western Kentucky's going to score a ton of points, forget the over, just play the game unless the spread's 50. Like Michigan, Hawaii. Let's look at that. Michigan's laying 41 to Hawaii. Hawaii plays Cal in Japan. As it looks now, Hawaii's not going to score on Michigan. Not till the fourth quarter when Michigan pulls out their starters. Michigan will score, and whoever the quarterback is, I would think it'd be O'Korn from Houston. He played as a freshman there, and he was not too bad. The second year, he started throwing interceptions, and then they replaced him. So I look for Harbaugh, get them under control, but they're going to run it down their throats. They're going to play tough D. They'll get turnovers. Peppers will run back a punt or a kickoff or a touchdown. So Michigan will score, but you don't really want to first we don't know what the over-under is, but let's say you get 55 as the over-under on the game. Let's see Hawaii, week all over and a new coach. They're not going to score on them. So you look at Hawaii getting 7 points. Let's say they get a freak touchdown. If the over-under is 55, now Michigan, okay, so they're going to probably score 50. So that's going to be like a 57, maybe a 50, maybe Michigan gets 55 on them. So you say, okay, so let's say Michigan wins 55-7. Okay, is it really an over? Not really. Is it an under? Not really. But probably the best way is to tease Michigan from 40 down to 34. There's no way they're not going to win by 34. You can't take Hawaii in 46. They're not going to score enough, and their defense sucks. So how are they going to stop Michigan? So because of the over-under being uncertainty, because Hawaii doesn't have a good offense, really don't have a good defense, since it's so one-sided, you take Michigan in the game. Now, if Michigan was, well, let's go for this other example. Let's say, let's look at the Ohio State-Oklahoma game. Ohio State's playing Oklahoma. What do you got? You got a very strong offense in Ohio State, average defense. They lost too many guys, and I'll tell you what, they never had a great defense anywhere. I was shocked that many players that many defensive players went so high in the draft. Bosa won't do anything at San Diego if he even signs his contract. Ohio State usually has good secondary people. They'll get a Chris Spielman once in a while, good linebacker. But they get more offensive players. And as long as they have Barrett back, they're going to score a lot this year. They'll put up a 40 or 50 because that's what Urban Meyer does. He always scores a lot with his system. So you look for them to be explosive. Oklahoma, good offense, weak defense. Yeah, maybe Perrine runs the ball a little bit, but okay. Mayfield's back. He's okay as a quarterback. I think the spread offenses really hurt the defense because they don't get a chance to rest. You can't just run the guy. What you're doing is you're on the field for 2 seconds. You're throwing passes all over. Either it's 3 and out, or you march down, you kick a field goal or score, and you're on the field for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The defense is tired. By the fourth quarter, the defense is exhausted. That's why these passing teams never win titles. San Diego Chargers with Dan Fouts. The only team that did it was Montana, but they ran the ball a lot. They had short passes as if it was their running game. When they got good, they had Roger Craig run the ball until he fumbled against the Giants. So you had that. You always, it was a controlled passing game. But the just blow them out passing teams never win because they can't. You gotta rest your defense. That's the key to it. So Oklahoma, Ohio State, that game's a definite over if it's anything in the 50s. 52, tease it to 46, go over. I also love Ohio State. If Ohio State's getting, that line's really 10 or 12, oh my God, that could be one of my locks. Don't tell anybody. That'll be a definite lock if I get Ohio State in 16 against Oklahoma. Oklahoma is not that type of team that blows out. The only reason they won last year is because they played Baylor's second-string quarterback, TCU's, and Oak State's second-string, and they barely beat TCU. I mean, so in my mind, if Seth Russell's healthy, Baylor kills him. If Boykin plays, TCU kills him. So, they got fairly lucky. They're not really that good, and I don't know why they're so high just because of Mayfield. But they're not 10 points over Houston, and they're definitely not 10 points over Ohio State. So that's going to be a weird game. You can bet the game over for sure. And if Ohio State's getting 10 points, it's a lock. Take 16 in Ohio State. They beat pro teams getting 16. Just because of Urban Meyer and his offense. And when they're dogs, it's like Alabama. There's 2 teams that are dogs. Ohio State and Alabama, you just bet them as dogs. You don't even care where the game's at. You don't even care who they're playing. You bet them as dogs because they get pissed. They know the spread, and the coach knows how to coach it. So you'd be very careful with that. And usually Michigan State is a very strong dog also, except against Alabama for whatever reason. I'm going to live with that one for a while. So basically that's it. So you look at each conference once you get into the conference, and you look for the best teams, and you look for the worst teams, and you jump on the best team, and you bet against the worst team. And that's really the key to betting right there. Now, why you pay me is because I understand who the best team is and the worst team. I can tell you that you want to bet against North Texas and Texas San Antonio. How many other people know that or can dissect it or can figure that out? Probably not a few. They're all betting Alabama and they're betting Ohio State and LSU and Florida and Clemson, and they're losing because they don't cover or they don't bet it right. So you just got to be careful. Like Syracuse isn't over. It's such a sleeper. That line won't be caught up for a while, so they'll be 50 when they should be 60, and they'll be putting up 40 points a game and losing because they don't have a defense. They're a beautiful over team. So that's another lock. Clemson, Syracuse, lock it over if they play. I mean, I hate these schedules where they don't play everybody. All right, everybody. This is Teaserking warming up. Week 1. I'm looking at. I have one lock already, and looking for more. I'll have more once I get overs and unders. Like, I'm waiting. Like I said, the Michigan game. Well, that'll probably take Michigan, but Ohio State Bowling Green, for example. I love the over in the game, but I don't have it. So I got to see what it is. Bowling Green will score, even though their coach went off. They usually hire the assistant who knows the offense, like Oregon's been doing. The coach, Chip Kelly, goes on, and the next coach, well, he knows the offense, so we'll keep him around. So they just try to keep it going. So the Bowling Green coach, he'll keep that Bowling Green offense going. The problem is Johnson graduated. Now here's what I love. Here's like the Houston Texans, right? They don't have a quarterback, and here's this kid Johnson from Bowling Green. Doesn't get drafted. Where the hell is he? Why aren't they picking him up? I got to give total applause for this Allen who's on Jacksonville from Arkansas. I mean, if he doesn't start, and I was Houston, I would trade for that guy in a heartbeat. He's better than anything they have by a mile. I mean, it's just amazing that they don't understand it. I was listening to the Lions yesterday. Of course, I live in Michigan. Not too much longer. I'm moving to Vegas as soon as I can. The announcer says, well, the reason they drafted the kid from Michigan is because he saw him he threw for him in a practice or whatever, when they were looking at the talent. And I'm going, didn't he watch him overthrow against Utah, against Michigan State? All the big games, the guy overthrows his receivers. He's not accurate. Why would you draft him when you could have had Connor Cook? It's like they don't watch the games. If you watch Connor Cook, I'm watching the Rose Bowl now against Stanford, and the guy is extremely accurate, and it's like, he's a winner. This is what you want. This is, you drafted him. I mean, you don't draft Rudock from Michigan, he's not accurate at all. So that's my point. So that's why I like Allen from Arkansas. He played against Alabama and LSU, and he did very well. So that's my point. A lot of these guys are just, they don't get, well, he's got good arm strength. Jesus Christ. Since when does arm strength mean anything? Jamal Russell had great arm strength. Kid out of LSU who played like one game for Oakland and sucked. It's not arm strength. That's not what a quarterback, it's how does he read the defense and how does he, handle the rush? How does he handle the blitz? And that's why you bet against the Lions, because Stafford can't handle it. How do you handle the blitz is the key, and how do you got to know where to throw the ball. You throw it to your guy, and you don't throw a lot of interceptions. That's the key. It doesn't matter how strong the arm is. If you played college ball, if Allen played at Arkansas, obviously he's got a strong arm. He played LSU and Alabama and all those teams. So you're worried about his arm strength? Come on, man. Anyway, this is long enough. So I will definitely I'll have more games once I get the over-unders. But right now I have a lock week 1. And it's a good line, and I like the game. So I'll have that posted soon. Please feel free. You can buy the whole year. I'll give you discounts. You can buy a week or a month. I notice other handicappers, and they go on and they sell just the pros at a price and just the college at a price. And I sell you do that, but then I combine them and give you discounts for the week. You know, you want the week, you get all the college and the pro and the lock and everything else. So I noticed that they sell them all, a little different than I do. But the thing I have on them is I'm 75-80% accurate, and they're in their 60s. So you win a lot more money with me. You might have to pay a little bit more, but you definitely win a lot. And, if you're a little distressed or you want, just talk to me and I'll give you a discount and we can work it out into your budget. And then as you start winning, then we can go from there. All right, everybody, this is Howard, the Teaser King. If you've been on my Facebook page, just go on Facebook, Teaser King, or Howard Robbins. If you go to the Teaser King, you'll see I've been picking baseball like a madman. I'm probably 90% in baseball, and I'm just giving the games away for free. Here they are, and it's just just a service. I'll probably be handicapping baseball next year because it's just all about betting the pitchers. If they are good, you bet the under. If they're lousy, you bet the over. If Arrieta's playing nobody, you bet Arrieta. I mean, it's very simple, and you watch the trends. So anyway, questions, comments, www.teaserking.com. Comment me here. Have a great summer, and getting ready for Labor Day and the start of football finally. And the last thing is, don't bet these preseason games. If you must, bet the teams with the good backup quarterbacks because they're the ones who play. Maybe Oakland, you can bet on Connor Cook this way. That would be my suggestion. All right, everybody, have a great day. Again, it's Howard, Teaser King, www.teaserking.com.